Good evening, guys. It's your boy, Sai, aka the Mancunian. Welcome along to Gunner Talk. A little bit different today. We're doing a live one with my first ever guest. Welcome him along, guys. In the blue corner, weighing a total of 145 pounds, roughly, just a guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Coming through Canada, currently living in South Africa, it's Irfan, the African Gooner. Welcome
Hi,
aboard,
Sai.
mate.
Hi, Sai. It's a pleasure, to be your first guest. Thank you very much for having me on.
No problem. I was even going to get my little South African vuvuzela out, mate, but I thought it might be a bit on.
I think, you know what? I actually think those things are banned because people used to get so annoyed with those things.
I got one just to annoy people at the South Africa World Cup, mate. That was, for that and to drink shots out of. That was about it.
So actually, a funny story, just a quick one. I actually, when I was in the States at a boarding school, I went to an American football game with it, and I was blowing it, and some guy got so annoyed he like grabbed it out of my mouth and he broke it. I was so upset, but like, he was much bigger than me, so I just let it go. But yeah, it was definitely annoying.
Right, well, dude, I'm just going to give you sort of 30 seconds just to take the floor. Just let us know why you support Arsenal. You know, you're like me, you're not from London. So just let people know why you support Arsenal, why you fell in love with the club, and yeah, just give us a bit about yourself, mate.
Yeah, so obviously my name's Irfan, and my Twitter handle is Le African Gunner. Le means the in French, and obviously the African Gunner was taken. So I thought, having kind of a French background, as my parents were born and raised in Congo, and I speak French, I thought it would be suitable to go with the Twitter handle or the branding name of Le African Gunner. So yeah, I lived in South Africa most of my life. School. And at the time, obviously being 23 years old, Arsene Wenger is basically was the only manager that I ever kind of witnessed or saw at Arsenal. And back in the day, obviously Arsene Wenger being French, within the French school or French system, he was very highly regarded, and Arsenal was a very French oriented team. So I was pulled towards Thierry Henry mostly, but fundamentally it was because Arsenal was a very French looking team, and a lot of French people, including my teachers and people within the French culture, gravitated towards Arsenal, and that's how I started supporting Arsenal, and I never looked back. And Sai, I've told you that I've never missed a game since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I think I only missed one game, and that's because I was on an airplane. And I really couldn't watch the game, but I did listen to it over the air, at 60,000 feet. And so Arsenal has been my passion. I've supported through the hard years and the good years. At my age, unlike you, it's been mostly bad years than good years. So it's been a bit tough, but I think one quality that Arsenal brings to me is being honest and not really being a cheater, because I could have switched to any other team, really a winning team, but I just couldn't, because my love for Arsenal was too great, and so I've kind of stuck through with it throughout the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think a few people. I always hate the conversation about foreign fans and whether they mean as much as local fans. And obviously, me being a Manc, I find that conversation hard to listen to. I don't think it should matter about geography. I'm someone who has a lot of credit for foreign fans. I'm a massive fan of NBA and NFL. I know what it takes to stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning watching this stuff when you're passionate about it. So I applaud you guys. I think you're worth just as much as normal fans, if not more. To be honest, I've always say to people, Arsenal would be like Boreham Wood if we didn't have foreign fans.
Yeah, definitely. So whether I'm, traveling on holiday and I'm in California, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. to watch the game, whether it's preseason, or a non-competitive game. I think something that I want to improve on is perhaps watch kind of the youth teams more, and perhaps even the Arsenal women. But I think the Arsenal first team alone takes a lot of my time and a lot of my emotional investment. So it's a tough thing. But even I've always wanted to watch a game at the Emirates Stadium, and unfortunately so far I haven't had the chance to, because of school, because of work, and obviously because of geography. But when I was in London last year for a 6-hour layover, I actually left the airport to go to the Emirates for a stadium tour with one of my best friends. which was a phenomenal experience for me. But I was only in London for 6 hours, and I decided to spend that not in the airport, but go to the Emirates and spend the whole day there, and then take a 15-hour flight back to Toronto. So
this is how we repay you.
Yeah, this is how we repay us.
But this is what I think the club really need to understand at the moment is what people sacrifice. You know, I'm going to come on this in a minute about fans tonight, but I really think the club need to start, you know, a bit like the Xhaka situation. And people were saying, well, the club have got to side with a player. You don't. You know, the club's the club. The club side with the fans. Without the fans, you're nothing. Without one player, you're still a football club. It doesn't wash with me. But just looking at the lineup tonight, you know, we'd switch to this 5-2-3 formation or 3-4-3, which, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. And my instant reaction when I looked at that, I thought he's trial running this for Leicester to try and stifle them to stop us getting walloped, and he's going to look for a draw again. And it felt like sort of the last act of a desperate man to me, is that he thought this was going to really work for him tonight, and this might be how he kicks on again. And it's totally backfired for me. He just seems to be praying for miracles now. What did you make of the formation? What did you think?
I was kind of surprised that he went for a 3-4-3, and I was surprised that going with a 3-4-3, he decided to start Socrates instead of David Luiz, which we all know is kind of his best formation in terms of defensively. But I wasn't too unhappy with the starting 11, apart from perhaps Torreira starting. I was kind of happy with the lineup. Maybe Lacazette should have started, but I do agree with you. I think this was kind of his, halfway shot, as a basketball reference, trying to shoot from the halfway line. It was completely wrong tonight, right? One shot on target, which was the goal that Mustafi scored in the 80th minute. A pretty boring match overall. So nothing really changed with the formation changing.
Yeah, because I got a lot of stick last year because I said I just didn't ever want to see that five at the back, and I got a bit of stick about it. But for me, it wasn't about the five at the back; it was about the personnel that we had. I didn't think we had good enough defenders. I raised the comment the other night about having Kolasinac or Monreal and Ainsley as wing backs. It just doesn't work. You've had more evidence of that tonight. And like I say, for me, it's not that I didn't want to see it this season. I just want to see it when we've got actual decent defenders, because I do think it could possibly work. But it was a long way from that tonight for me, a long way from that.
So 5 at the back, yet we're still as vulnerable, conceding shots. Vitoria looked like the better team tonight. And, I actually don't know factually if this is right, but I'm pretty sure that Pepe probably cost more than their entire first 11. I mean, and that's really disheartening.
I'm sure Pep's probably worth more than their entire club, mate.
No, yeah, definitely.
No, that's not disrespectful, just actually being factual. I bet you their club.
No, yeah, exactly.
One thing I just wanted to drop on, which I just dropped on a second ago, is the fans. The fans are the only people that are getting a serious rating from me tonight. They're getting a 10 out of 10. Just for having the passion for the club to bother to go over there today at such a strange time. And
in the rain.
Just keep getting behind the boys to watch this abject football, like you say, getting absolutely pissed on for an hour and a half. I honestly can't applaud them enough, because I wouldn't have done it. Even if I had the time and spare money, I wouldn't have done it tonight. No chance.
I would have done it for sure, because, as I said, any opportunity to watch Arsenal live for me would be it would make my day. But yeah, no, definitely for those fans who go every week to all the games, especially the ones that feature on Arsenal Fan TV, and that's why you see kind of this rage in the post-match interviews, is because they're paying their money, they're flying all the way there, they're sitting in the pouring rain, and then they see that I'm sorry for swearing, but that shit football.
You're fully fine to swear on this one, mate. It's you're talking to me here. Usually every other word out of my mouth's a swear word, so you're all right, mate. But just sort of looking at the game itself, sort of the first half, first 15 minutes, it was just really poor. That thunderbolt off the post from them.
That was a good shot.
Yeah, and then not long after that, another long-range shot. That's where they thought they'd get a bit of joy out of us, and it was good save from Martinez, I thought. He's probably one of the only people that comes out of tonight with any credit for me. But there was just no closing down again. There's just no urgency. You can blame Emery as much as you like, but the players aren't helping him either. Not in my opinion, anyway. And the first 15 minutes, I thought we were lucky to sort of come through it unscathed. I don't know what you thought, but it was a bit of an onslaught for me.
Yeah, no, that's exactly you. You basically echoed all my feelings towards those first 15, 20 minutes. I think that you raise a really valid point that we don't seem to close down. I mean, I saw Tierney once kind of, push someone out of the way to kind of close down because I think he realized that, no one was closing down. And I don't know if that is something that they haven't been working on the training ground, but, being at this professional level, again, it goes back to, these are things that should be common sense that, you see that they're shooting from far range. They hit the post. We made one really good save. We keep backing off, and I don't know if that's because there's a lack of confidence in the defense that we can't really defend. So we kind of just want to let them take shots from afar, or tactically we're just not set up right. But we would play 5 at the back. I mean,
And it made it felt like we had no defenders at the back. And I think you're right on that front. I think it's a bit of a culmination of everything. It's just, no confidence, no tactics, no real instructions. Whether I'm not sure about this, the players don't understand him stuff. That if it was surely that bad, he's not the worst English talking manager I've ever come across. And I just don't buy that. And I think it's more they don't understand his instructions rather than understanding him trying to talk in English and get it across language barrier wise.
Just one point on that, Sai. I think football is a universal language. So I'm sorry, even if he doesn't speak English, football, it doesn't need to be explained with words, really. I mean, when you're in training, these guys are training almost every day. And he's not the only one who's giving out instructions. There's Freddie Lundberg and there's other coaching staff that can kind of take his message and translate it and kind of show them in terms of English of what to do. But I think just physically going through the training drills and going through practice, they should be taught. And it shouldn't matter whether it's in English or Chinese. Tactics are tactics.
Yep. So I totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree with you. It just makes me feel a bit sick when I think about training from that video where there was just those inflatable posts and balls were just getting whizzed in and it was chaos. It was just like, that's how it feels to me. And we play like that's what's going on in training. It's just not good at all. But just moving on from that first 15 minutes, sort of going more into the second half. Martinez again with another really good save. And just the one thing I think people have been okay with Unai recently has been at set pieces. We've not been bad. Tonight was absolutely dreadful. From any dead ball, that offside trap that we were trying to play, we were just playing them onside, and then they were getting a free swing of the back 5 yards out every time. It was embarrassing. These was just then no link-up play, no wide options, and then it was creating chances for them in behind. Sort of, I circled it when I wrote down the formation and the lineup, and I instantly put a circle around Mustafi and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Because people who know me and watch know my main gripe with us in defence is the ball in the channels between the wing backs and the centre backs and the ball over the top. We haven't been able to defend that for over a decade for me. So it's instantly what I look at when I see a lineup. And as soon as I saw Ainsley and Mustafi on that side, I thought, trouble, big trouble here. And it played that way for me. I don't know what you thought of that, but.
Yeah, so just a quick one on that. I think Mustafi actually didn't have a bad game tonight. I think he did pretty well. But something I did realize, and I've realized this quite a while ago, but I think tonight again just reiterated that point for me. It's that unfortunately I don't think Maitland-Niles is good enough for Arsenal. I think, just one example I want to point out, which I wasn't able to mention previously in kind of other podcasts or to anyone else, is that, I remember against Liverpool, he tried to nutmeg Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain like right near our box, just because of pride. And that's kind of the type of player he is. He wants to dribble a lot, but he doesn't have the actual quality to do it consistently, which is disappointing. So he gets caught off the ball a lot. I mean, today he fell flat on his ass when he tried to head a ball away. And luckily it was a really powerful cross, so it actually went out of bounds. But I mean, if he missed that and the attacker was able to control it, I think that would have been a goal. So I think I struggle to see why he starts. I know he's a utility player, but why wasn't Bellerin starting? I mean,
I said it in a podcast last night that I didn't pick Bellerin for tonight because I think he's going to throw him in against Leicester. But for me, Chambers should have started tonight. Yeah. I thought so it was very odd.
With that point, do you think then that Tierney is not going to start this weekend because Tierney played 90 minutes today? So that's the one I can't
get my head around. I cannot understand that at all.
I think at this level, I mean, playing 2 games within a week, these guys should be able to do that easily. So I don't know. I find that like a bit flabbergasting, thinking that, you know, oh, well, if he plays tonight, then he can't play on Saturday. So, or this afternoon.
I agree with you, mate. That doesn't wash with me either. I think he should be more than. That's all I could think was maybe he's just getting that last bit of match fitness into him before Saturday, just making sure he's at peak condition. I couldn't really give him any more excuses from that.
You're right.
Just rolling on it. Sorry, I
was just gonna agree with you in terms of if Bellerin doesn't start, then Chambers. Well, why didn't he start? I mean, he's not gonna start on Saturday against Leicester, so you know, and it's really odd.
Yeah, it's a really strange one. And just signing off on that first half, just no shots on goal. No, not even. I think we created sort of one half opportunity right in that first few minutes where that ball came across and it sort of flicked off the defender and just went wide. But I don't really remember anything else in that first half. No, about you?
Holding had a header that was off target, I think, from a corner.
It went way over the bar, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a tough one, but that was our only shot towards goal, and it was off target. But no shot on goal, which, I mean, you know, having Pepe on, Martinelli, Saka, and something I wanted to say as well in terms of the first half. I think Saka again didn't have a really good game. He seems to be getting bullied quite a lot, which I mentioned on Sonny's
podcast. We'll get onto him in a minute when we get into the player ratings. But second half, I didn't write any comments down for the second half because it was just more of the same from the first half. I just had nothing to say about it at all. Nothing. Just more abject misery for me again. Just more of the same. I don't feel like if I'd have turned the telly off and gone and sat facing the wall for 45 minutes, I'd have felt any different. I don't know if you made anything in the second half.
Yes. So in my opinion, actually, I think the second half was much better than the first in terms of we weren't getting as dominated as in the first half. I felt in the first half we were getting kind of a little bit run over, and the ball was being played in our half most of the time. But I think in the second half we started playing a little bit better. I like the way Joe Willock was trying to drive and push the team forward. But you know, it's not a one-man sport. It's a team sport, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's what I felt with a few players. Just it's hard. I found it hard to rate them because I just feel like a few of them were really isolated and just left in no man's land, where it's either do everything or you just look like you're doing nothing. And that's why I struggle to blame the players for that, because that's a system thing for me. But the second half, it just didn't really. You know, even if you're of the opinion that it got better, it still wasn't good, was it?
No. Better does not mean that it was good. Better just means it wasn't as bad.
Yeah, similar to people saying Mourinho would be better than Emery. It's not the ideal, but it'd be better.
No, it definitely would be better. And you know, I think the goal that we scored, the goal that we scored in the 80th minute, I didn't even celebrate because I was just thinking, you know, we got out of jail, or we might be getting out of jail here, but it's still a piss poor performance. Boring football, absolutely boring.
Well, as I said to you just before we came on, I couldn't even bring myself to celebrate it. I sort of felt sick that goal went in. We'll talk about it a bit more further down the line. But yeah, I can't imagine even the guys watching it live in the ground sort of jumped up and cheered for that. I don't know. I really think you'd have to be a super optimistic Gooner at the minute to have felt good about 3 points tonight. I mean, if you just look at the nuts and bolts of it, I mean, it guarantees we're through now pretty much. So that's one thing I suppose you could be happy about, but you know, you've got to look at the other side of that. That now does that sort of keep him in a job? I think that's what a lot of people would have thought was, I've just sat through sort of 80 minutes of absolute shit again, and he's got out of jail at the death.
Yeah, no, I think even if he got out of the jail, I think again our board is just not going to take action, I think, unless we lose. Perhaps I think I even struggle to see if we lose 2-3-0 against Leicester if they're going to say anything. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, don't you think that Josh or Raul or someone needs to come out with a statement saying, kind of, you know addressing the fans that, you know, we understand that things are not really going in the last month, results haven't been going our way, but this is kind of our process, and we kind of trust Emery going forward, or make some sort of statement, because I think the reason why Wenger got a lot of stick and a lot of abuse is because there was nothing coming out from the board. So we took everything out on Wenger, and I think it'd be better for Emery, and it'd be better for the board, and it'd be better for the fan base in terms of not turning against Emery completely and starting to abuse him and starting to question the board again, for them to come out and say something, right?
Well, this is it. I raised this point the other day that the board aren't backing up their talk for me at all. Not even close to it. What they were saying in the summer. You know, with Josh's comment about get excited, and you know, when he said that, I didn't think what I'd be getting excited about is getting rid of the manager. You know, I was looking forward to a lot more than that this year. And I think it's very similar to the Xhaka stuff. I think it's quite disgusting that the club didn't come out and make any sort of statement about that.
Yeah,
and they allowed him to just post on his Instagram, and then they just sort of copy and pasted it to our Arsenal website. I don't remember an incident like that before in my life.
Not only that. No, I was gonna say, Sai, not only that, but Emery in his press conference released kind of the statement that the club should be releasing on the website, saying that Xhaka has been stripped of captaincy. That's not something he should be saying he should be saying it in a press conference, but it should have been already released beforehand onto the website, in my opinion, at least.
Well, I got told apparently that Xhaka was very upset about the fact that he'd said he was sort of mentally unstable and he needed counselling. Apparently he wasn't told to say that. He just did that off his own back, which I can understand why they said it, to sort of make people aware of this sort of abuse on social media. But sort of not get the player's clearance first and sort of out him as someone that needs counselling, I thought was a bit wrong. But it's just how everything's being dealt with at the minute. There doesn't seem to be any communication going down the channels at all, from players to manager to coaches to, you know, the guys in the boardroom. It doesn't. I said it, you know, Emery, I'm not a fan, but I feel like we're now hanging him out to dry as well. You know, he's being treated the same. We're just letting him hang himself. I don't like it. I really don't. You know, I hold us as a much more classier club than this. It's not good.
I mean, I don't mind it, because if it means that he's out, then that's kind of what I want, even though it's not really professional and not the way we should be going about it. The result is ideally what I would like. So at the moment, I'm not too fussed about it, but I definitely agree with you. I think in terms of communication, which is really important, and which I think, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years with Wenger, the lack of communication between the fans, the board, and Arsene Wenger is kind of, you know, what raised that tension to boiling point, and I think that's starting to happen again. And
people say about, you know, needing information from the club. I mean, we don't need to know what they've all had for breakfast and what colour socks they've put on. You know, we don't need that much information, but we do need to be kept in the loop. You know, I'm still absolutely appalled that the club hasn't made an actual statement about the entire Xhaka thing.
Yeah. No, I think
about that. It's unreal.
It's gonna go under the carpet, and you know, like, you know, even Emery being asked in the press conference kind of to explain and give more detail, he kind of kept brushing it, you know, under the carpet, saying, you know, I'm kind of done talking about this. You know, it's been done, and we move on, and I'm focused on tonight's game, which didn't really look like he was that focused, because it didn't seem that they were that prepared for the game and for Saturday's game against Leicester.
I'll ask you one quick question, Irfan. Do you think, if the board came out now and said he's got 3 games to save his career, do you think that would hinder him or help him? Or do you just think it wouldn't make any difference? He's just going to sink himself no matter what?
No, I think it would. I think it's a tough one, actually, you know, because I think if they do come out, it's actually a really good question, Sai. It's actually a really good question. I think that if they come out with a statement saying he has 3 games, I think it puts pressure on him. It puts kind of a little bit of pressure on the fans as well, to kind of, like, for those who want him in still, to kind of for him, because this is kind of his last rally, like when they came out before AC Milan, I think, in the Europa League. Against, was it Atletico or was it against AC Milan, when they came out saying that, you know, Wenger was going to leave? That was kind of his, you know, last hurrah, and everyone got behind him. I think it was against Atletico Madrid in the semifinal. But I think, you know, for those players who are kind of, you know, as we said, he's lost the dressing room. So for those players who kind of don't want him to be there, I think, you know, if they don't want him to be there, why would they be inclined to perform in those 3 games? So it might be just kind of hanging him at the same time. So I see it going both ways.
It's a real tricky one, because I've worked in sales, and if you're sort of sat at your desk and you're not picking the phone up, somebody's going to come and put an hand on your shoulder at some point and say, "Si, you're not really doing the job. I think it's best if you leave." So I think from his own personal point, he's probably feeling pressure because he can't honestly believe this is good enough. But my flip side to what you said is that if you're not telling him, maybe they are telling him behind the scenes that he's not up to scratch at the moment. But if they're not, then what does that say to him? Maybe they are giving him a false sense of security that he believes this is good enough at the moment. It's like you say, it's a real tricky one at the minute. Real tricky one. And who knows what's actually best in this situation? I don't know Unai personally. I don't know. It's the same with players. Some like an arm around the shoulder, and others like telling, get your arse in gear or you're gone. It's a real. I suppose it's more of a personal thing.
Do you think there's been any conversations with him behind the scenes? In regards to perhaps even December, that if things don't change, that his line is on, his job is on the line. I feel like they must have. I mean, they must have.
My personal feeling is they've just told him it's top 4 or you're gone. I'm not sure if they've set more, month by month goals. I don't know. I don't know if they've sort of looked at the fixtures and gone, these next 4 we expect 9 points. Or I think it's just a season-long goal, top 4 or that contract.
I don't expect there to be much, but I think considering the position that we're in now and the run of form that we're in, maybe was sparked because of how things are going. Because as we all know, and we both talked about this last week, we're 6 points behind Leicester. This weekend is basically a 6-point game. If we lose to Leicester, that's 9 points to 4th place. You can't be telling me that we're not going to be losing or drawing. That's basically top 4 gone already, and it's only been 10 weeks. That's crazy. That's kind of Wenger.
Oh.
You still there?
Yeah, still there, dude. Sorry, you just keep talking, Irfan, if you're still there, mate. It's just your picture's gone down a bit. Well, I'll just keep talking for a sec, guys, seeing as we're just struggling with Irfan for a moment. I think it's a really good point that he's making there is about goals for this season, sort of what the goals are, the targets that we're setting, whether there has been a conversation with Unai about it. Surely you'd like to imagine that the club have given him a tap on the shoulder and said, "Pal, this isn't good enough." I'm sort of worried about his interviews. He's not saying things to me that show he realizes how bad the situation is at the moment, which really confuses me. Oh, sorry, guys, we just might have Irfan back.
It's not you. Internet. Are
you back, dude?
Yeah, internet in South Africa. Yeah, I'm back. The internet in South Africa.
But yeah, it's just saying with I'm just saying that while you were gone then about Unai, just sort of, he doesn't really say anything in his conferences that make you think he feels he's under some serious pressure.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's a tough one.
You as a man that's terrified, does he strike you as a man that's terrified he's about to lose his job?
Yeah, you know what? When you look at him on the touchline, he's kind of scratching his chin. I think he's not exerting the same emotion that he was at the end or kind of throughout the whole of last season in terms of energy and kind of, even in the last 5 minutes, if we were losing or winning, we'd still be pushing, kind of, giving instructions to the players. At the moment, he looks kind of like Wenger, really, just like Wenger standing on at least he's standing on the touchline. Wenger would just be sitting down with his coat. But Emery is just standing there, really looking clueless, looking out of ideas, kind of. I think he kind of knows that, we're really rolling down the hill at the moment, and it doesn't seem like we're stopping anytime soon. I mean, a draw again today, and again potentially, I'm predicting a loss against Leicester, and I think I don't see it even getting better after that.
Somebody sent me something last night, Irfan, and I've not fact checked it yet. But somebody sent me we've won 24 points from 18 games. I'm not sure if that's factual, but if that's true, I really don't understand how he's still here. I don't. I find that mind blowing. Oh, it must be that
No,
cheeky.
I'm still here.
It's that cheeky South African internet, my friend.
No, I know, man. I'm sorry. It usually doesn't happen, but like,
Yeah, it happens. It's one of those things. It's like working in TV with children and animals, mate. You can't predict Wi-Fi, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I actually live in an apartment building, and I think at times when like everyone comes home from work and everyone just using the internet, it just kind of slows down. Apologies.
No, mate, it happens. It's one of those things. Like I say, it's nice to have you along because I'm used to doing it on my own anyway, mate. So if you're here for 30 seconds, it's a bonus, pal. But
thank you.
We're going off topic a little bit, so let's get back to the game and the ratings.
Actually, I just wanted to answer just that question. I did hear it before I kind of disconnected. I think we've won only 5 of the last, I think, 13 or 15 Premier League matches. So in regards to your point before, yeah, it's really terrible form at the moment.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't fact check it, but I just looked at it and I thought that's probably about right.
No, it is. It definitely is. It's not good.
I just couldn't be asked to waste my energy to look, to be honest. I just assumed that it was right. And I get it. I assume it probably is very close to being right. But yeah, let's get on to the player ratings. I'm just going to say one thing. On these ratings, I'm going to give everybody what is going to be known as one USP. I know people know that as a unique selling point, but that's a Unai suppression point for me, which is that everyone gets an extra point for having to play under this guy.
Yeah.
It's just turgid. It's horrible to watch. I'm really surprised we're not at the point where players are just telling him to go and fuck himself like Xhaka did and just, I don't want to play anymore. I think players would be eager to play for Arsenal, but I don't think they're eager to play under this guy.
I think they were.
Do you think these guys were excited to play tonight?
No, but it's not only tonight. I think it's been the last couple of weeks, even longer than that. I mean, you know, when we used to watch Wenger, I'm sorry, with like Fabregas and Nasri, you used to see so much energy and creativity. I mean, going forward. I mean, even if at the back there was just no one left, everyone would just bomb forward. It was much better to watch than what we're watching now, because now we're not bombing forward. Everyone's kind of sitting back. I don't know if you noticed today in transition. I think there was at one point when we did a counterattack and it was just Lacazette and Pepe, and the whole Vitoria team was already back in shape. And where was our midfield? Where were our runners? There was just no one going forward. We're just too slow. Too slow.
Before we get back onto the player ratings, I know we're getting a bit sidelined there, but I was asked something the other day about what would you prefer? Because it was back to that Unai comment that he made about I'd rather win 5-4 than 1-0.
Yeah.
And I totally disagree with that. And I'll explain to you why I disagree with that, because winning 5-4 is great and it's exciting. But when you're allowing the other team to score 4 goals, that makes you beatable. When you're beating teams 1-0, that sucks the life out of them. If people were coming to the Emirates knowing that a team hasn't scored in 9 hours of football, do you think they're turning up going, well, we're going to win today? That's my issue with that train of thought. I'm getting the feeling you're the other side of the coin. So let me know your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, actually, I think, you know, it's funny. In the Liverpool game, one of my friends actually sent me that meme or that quote that Emery said, you know, I'd rather win, 5-4 than 1-0. But I think the way that we've been playing, and apart from the Liverpool game, we know every single game, without fail, we're going to concede. And they used to be the same under Wenger at the end of his tenure. We knew we were going to concede, but at least we knew we were going to have a lot of chances and we might outscore. At the moment, we have better attacking talent than we did under Wenger, but we have one shot on target against Vitoria, and basically, we're conceding way too many shots. And that's been a trend this entire season specifically. We've been conceding a lot of shots on goal, and we're being, outshot basically, and we have a better team and we have more creative players. It's crazy.
Let's remind people that this Vitoria team haven't scored against anyone else in the Europa League. And
this is their first point.
And their game before our first fixture against them, they got beat by a semi-pro team.
Yeah.
This isn't a good side. I said this, if we were getting beat by Liverpool's, PSG's, Juventus's, Man City's, I think we'd all swallow it a little bit more. But the quality of opposition we're getting, not just beat and unluckily beat, from a corner at the death. We're getting outplayed for 90 minutes from these teams. It's not good, but yeah, come on, we're getting off it. So let's get to the player ratings. Like I say, they're all getting one extra USP from me. Martinez, I'll let you take the helm, mate. You fire away. What do you reckon?
All right, so I'd give Martinez a 6. I think 6 is fair. I think 7 is pushing it a little bit too much. I think he saved us really in terms of those 2 shots specifically, one in the first half and the other one in the second half. I think he does. He's not really helped by our defense. I think if you look at the last goal that they scored, I think there was like 5 Arsenal players just kind of standing on the line, basically standing as if they were the goalkeepers instead of pressing and trying to block the shot. Just disappointing. So 6, but I mean, he wasn't helped by the defenders tonight.
Well, it's all right, mate, because I was a 6, but obviously I put him up to 7 with my 1 USP. But yeah, I felt like without him, the game was gone in the first 15 minutes. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a bit tough because maybe Leno would have made those saves, but without a decent goalkeeper, whichever one of those two tonight, we were 2-0 down after 5 minutes for me.
One thing I want to mention about him, I think his kicking is much better than Leno's. But yeah, apart from that, I think in terms of shot keeping, I think they're both good keepers.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a massive fan of Martinez for a while, and I was telling people before the season started, he isn't here to be a number 2. He's too good to be a number 2. And I genuinely think he is here to put some pressure on Leno for the number 1 spot. And like you say, I think a lot of people have noticed that his distribution is a lot better than Leno's. I'm not sure he's as good an all-round goalkeeper, but I don't think there's a ton in it. I really don't.
Yeah, agreed. But I do think last week he had a poor game. I think today was back to what he's been showcasing throughout the season.
Yeah, he had a stinker the other week. It was an absolute stinker. But I can allow somebody 1 stinker in 10. It's when they're having 4 in 5 that I start to get annoyed. But let's get on to Ainsley, right wing back. I'll crack us off. He gets a 2 for me. I thought he was dreadful tonight, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I love this kid. I think we've done him an injustice down the years, but I mean, he's so laid back. He's horizontal, and that it's like he's golden chain on, and he's got to get his head in the game. I think he's maybe in the position where he's just enjoying being an Arsenal fan playing for Arsenal at the minute. He just switches off so easy, and I try to give him some leeway because I can't tell if it's just, am I a right back? Am I a right wing back? Am I a right winger? Am I a centre mid? He's just that confused, but it's not good enough. Whatever excuses you've got, it's not good enough. So he got a 2 from me. I don't know about you, dude.
Yeah, I think I'd give him exactly a 2. But unfortunately for me, I think since last season and even the year before that with Wenger, I think he has speed. I think he's talented. But I think a point that you made right now, which I think is very on point. He's very laid back. He seems super relaxed with the ball. He doesn't seem serious about that football or soccer is actually his profession. That this is his job. He just seems kind of laid back. Feet up on the table, like I'm playing for Arsenal, and I just have to be just playing. Really not putting in 100%.
This goes back to the point I made a minute ago, though. Did you ever see him play like that under Wenger? Because I don't remember seeing him be like this laid back under Wenger. And that's another point that brings me back to, do you think he just doesn't care about playing for this boss? He's just, I'll just do what I feel like till he's gone, and then I'll take it seriously. That's a terrible attitude, by the way. But
yeah, no, definitely.
I just don't know what to make of it. I don't.
So for me, I think it doesn't matter what manager he plays for. I think he might play better, but I don't think unfortunately, I really don't think he's good enough for us. Again, I think he gets caught on the ball a lot. I think positionally, he gets caught because his position is bad. And that might be because he keeps switching positions. But I think even he's been playing kind of right wing or right wing back, and he's still not good enough for me. And his crossing, I don't know. I actually wanted to ask you this, Sai. His crossing is not great at all. I mean, even tonight, his crossing is really poor. Instead of crossing early, sometimes he takes on players when he doesn't need to be taking on players. He kind of reminds me of me sometimes. Play it simple. Don't try to be. Don't try to show off. Really, just play it simple.
Yeah, it's. I mean, anybody who knows me know I've got a lot of time for him, but I'm even now struggling to sort of see where he fits in. I don't want to be like that, man. And I always sort of lean back to that Man United performance where he pocketed Pogba when he played in the middle of the park as a box-to-box. And it was like, this is the Ainsley Maitland-Niles I've been telling you all about. and he just hasn't had an opportunity like that since for me. But that doesn't excuse that. You know, I'm saying we're not asking him to play goal attacking netball. We're still asking him to play a position on a football pitch. And when you're playing out of position, for me, that means you're never going to be a 9 out or 10 out of 10, but you should still be capable of a 5 or a 6 out of 10, and he isn't even doing that for me at the moment.
So, Sai, just a quick question on that. I know we're kind of getting a little bit sidetracked, but there's just so much to talk about. For me, I think Chamberlain.
I told you that's why these last at least an hour, mate.
No, for sure. No, I was gonna say I think Chamberlain definitely was playing much better than him in that right wing back position. That's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing I wanted to mention is I think that game where he did play well in the midfield, I think potentially it might have been a fluke game that Pogba didn't really have a great game, and I think we just had, you know, when the team is playing with great, like, you know, flow and stuff, it's kind of hard to stop. I think everyone starts playing well because you just gel, and you know, you get that energy that, like, yes, we're playing well, everything is happening for us. Therefore, he looks like he had a great game. But again, that might be a bias because I don't see much potential in the next, 4 or 5 years. I don't see him starting for Arsenal in 3-4 years. And it's not because I don't hate him. I love the kid. I think he's talented. But I think this is just a step too high for him.
I think, I'm willing to give him some more time. Maybe people like you aren't. I think the one thing we can universally agree on is that at the moment he's just not doing enough. He's not playing well enough. There's no excuses for that for me. Just a quick one. I just want to say thank you to the guys that have joined in over the last couple of minutes. I'm not being ignorant. I just didn't want to sort of drop in while Irfan was talking.
No, not a problem.
So let's get off Ainsley. Rob, just first of all, what did you make of him being captain?
I think there was really not much choice. Bellerin didn't start, so automatically
you wouldn't have Socrates over him as a captain.
No, I don't think so. I think he's been here longer. I think he's younger. I think he's more passionate, and I think a captain needs to lead by example. I feel actually this season Socrates has been making way too many mistakes, and again, it goes back to something I mentioned on Sonny's podcast against Wolves when he didn't really get elbowed at all. It was nothing in it, and he was crying like a baby on the floor. I'm sorry, a captain or a leader, regardless of if he got elbowed or not, knowing that the ball had passed him and that, a chance potentially or a goal could be conceded, you get up and you get back into position. And then after the ball goes out of play, then you hold your face and say, oh, I got hit in the face or whatever. But while the ball is still in play, you get up and you man up. And so I think that's kind of the leadership or captain that I want to see. If Tony Adams got elbowed in the face, he'd get up straight away. He wouldn't be crying and rolling around on the floor. So that's just my opinion.
He'd be looking forward to the next one. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And he'd give it back. Socrates does give it back a little bit, but I think he doesn't have sometimes he doesn't use his brain. He makes very silly fouls, which we didn't see that much last year. But I think this year he's been exposed much more.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just through desperation at the minute. There's a lot of that between him and Luiz. He's very desperate last-minute tackles. It's just that as soon as I wrote down, my first thing about Holding was he isn't a leader, not in a million years for me. And that might be harsh. He might grow into one, but he's not a guy I think the lads are looking at, and he's someone you're going to say he's going to carry us forward. So, that could be cruel, but I don't see it in him. I don't see it in him at all at the moment.
Who would you have made captain otherwise, if not Holding? I would have made Tierney, but I think it's way too early.
I was just going to say Turner.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Tierney, but it's early. No, I know. I don't care either, but I think that is in terms of stigma.
This is the thing, man. Look at just before the game. Who was the one guy warming up with just short sleeve shirts on?
Yeah,
Turner. That's the guy that you're looking at and going, all right. I feel a little bit silly now with my snood on and my gloves and my jacket.
Yeah.
Here's a leader. This is what a leader looks like, and that's
he's a solid player. I really like him.
Yeah. So Holding, what was your rating for him, mate?
Again, I don't know if it's because we've overhyped him. I think he was playing really well before his injury. I'm not sure as well if it's perhaps because of the lack of playing time, just coming back from a really bad injury. But I don't think he's as dominant as he was at the before his injury. So I would have to give him a standard 5 for me.
Yeah, he gets a 4 from me. He's another one. I'm not about. Although he's disappointed me in his last few, because I thought he was absolutely dire against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I thought he was poor again tonight, but he's not somebody that I'm giving up hope on. I just think he's another player that people have built up way too much. People are talking like he's some sort of Maldini and Holdini, and he's not done anything like that for me yet. And I get what you're saying. He did look solid, and that's why you've seen enough in him in the past to go, he could still be a good player. But it's going on my point where I said about he's not a leader, and then I sort of look at the two guys next to him and I say, well, that's like somebody tying your hands behind your back and asking you to shepherd a box of mice. You've got no chance. It's like leading the unleadable. It's I can't put it all down to him. I think if you put Holding next to two Van Dijks, I don't think we'd be saying he was a 3 or a 4 or a 5 tonight. I think
it would be a 1 or 0.
And that's where I'm finding these ratings really tricky at the minute.
So, Sai, I just had a quick question actually before we move on. Do you think that the reason we overhype these players is because of the lack of quality, over the last maybe 5, 6, 7 seasons that we've been lacking quality? That's why when we see Tierney, we're just like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And we're happy because we feel like we have a solid player, regardless of if he's the best left back. It's such a drastic improvement because we've had such bad players in terms of quality that we kind of overhype these players like Saka. Oh my God, Martinelli. Oh my God, he's the next Neymar. And again, these players are really good, but I think we've been, unfortunately, we haven't had such great talent that now when we see just a slight potential, we just jump on it quickly and say, oh my God, he's going to be the next Sanchez. We're looking for that guy who we can put all our trust and passion in, like Sanchez. Really, we just knew when Sanchez was coming on, he was going to put his 100% heart in and he was going to score. He was going to make something happen.
Well, I raised this point last night on the pod, that sort of younger guys that have maybe only been supporting since sort of 2010 onwards, I don't think most of them know what a good player is because they've probably only seen 1 or 2 in that 10 years. And that's the problem for me, is I've seen, your Henrys, your Bergkamps, your Vieiras, all the rest of it live. So I don't hype any of these players until I see something equivalent. And I think that's the difference for the young kids, not to be derogatory in any way, but, you've probably only sort of seen Mesut playing really well. Sanchez is probably the only one that you could go, this is what a world-class player looks like.
Van Persie, I'm sorry, but I mean, as well.
Maybe some of them caught the arse end of that.
I mean, when he was captain, he scored like 20 something goals in that season. I think we're
not going to get onto Van Persie because
just mentioning him. You have to give credit where it's due sometimes.
But you see how far back we're having to go. We're not talking last year. We're talking years ago. That's the problem for me. That's why I think people are clinging to any sort of hope, like you say, at the moment, because it's just been so long. I think it'd just be nice to see 11 decent players play every week, and I think it's been a very long time since we've seen that. So I'll pick off Holding. Mustafi, I'll crack us off. He gets to 2 from me, and he gets his 1 USP, so he gets a 3. Not so much his play; it's positionally and his organisational skills. Anytime when Ainsley is pushing up forward, he doesn't think to just sort of move over 5 yards to the right-hand side. He stays very central, which then creates that gap down the channel, and that's what annoys me about him. He's, this guy is a World Cup winner. He's not an idiot. He's not a teenager. He should know these things instinctively, as a player at the, in high-level professional football. It's just not good enough for me. Oh, guys, we've lost Irfan again. But guys in the comments, sorry, I've not been reading any of them out because I just didn't want this to carry on for ages. But where do you guys sit on Mustafi? Because he's somebody for me that just shouldn't even be in the squad anymore. I can understand him utilising him in these games, but just the same old things for me just crop up every game. And I just can't be having watching him play football at all. He's just not very good. And I'd love to know what you guys think until Irfan comes back, because I want to get his rating on him. Tony, dude, we've been in this boat for a long time, my mate. See, Rico, you're like me. You're giving him a 3, and one of those is because he scored. It's it's bad, isn't it? It's not good at all. It really isn't. It's just tough. It really is tough. I'm trying to smile, but I'm just struggling. And it was like the goal when he scored. Oh, fans back in the room.
I apologize, viewers. Just know one thing: if you ever come to South Africa, don't expect good internet, because it doesn't exist in this country.
One of my favorite places in the world, mate. Been a few times. Absolutely loved it.
Definitely beautiful, but sometimes no electricity and no internet. So
I just while you were just gone, then I was just asking the guys in the comments what they made of Mustafi's rating while you came back.
Okay.
I was just laughing at Rico, who gave him a free, and one of those was because of the goal. What did you rate him as?
Actually, contrary to that, I think he had a pretty good game. I think he missed a header before he scored. That was a really easy header. It was a free header. But I mean, in terms of the whole team and the performance, I'd actually have to give him a 6 as well.
Okay. I totally disagree, but you know.
Well, what would you give him?
I'm giving him a 3, mate. He gets
really,
like I say, because his actual gameplay isn't terrible. It's not, and that's where I can see you giving him a 6. But if you just watch the little things that he does, where he switches off, it's not good enough for me.
So
sorry, dude.
No, I was just gonna say I give him a 6 because of the past performances. I think this is a step up in terms of last season. And stuff. Maybe that's why
we're rating him on today, mate. I'll have none.
No, but still, I think in terms of like, I think he played better than Socrates. I think he played better than 18 miles. So I mean, that's why I give him a 6. And he scored. If he didn't, imagine if he didn't score, we would be crying right now.
Well, I'd probably be crying tears of joy. But that's what I was just saying to these guys. Sort of when that goal went in, what I mentioned to you, I didn't feel any joy at that in the back of the net. Back of the net, and I can't ever remember a time in my nearly 40 years of following us that I've ever not wanted to celebrate a goal. It wasn't in me. I didn't feel that joy. You know, and that's what's upsetting me. And again, we're talking about Mustafi and player ratings, and we're saying, well, it was better than this. You know, you know, a small shit's better than a big shit. It's still a shit. You know, it's not great, is it? But
yeah.
Socrates, then what we're
all right. I take down my rating from a 6 to a 5 after those comments. I think 6 might have been a bit too much. Peer pressure, but it just because of, you know, I really don't like Mustafi, but I think he has a better reaction than Xhaka has with kind of the fan base turning against him, and I think he's kind of stepped up a little bit his own personal game throughout the last couple of weeks.
I've just noticed something interesting in the comments. Andrew saying our defense takes a lot of stick and blame for our midfield. What the?
Sorry, it was a bit windy. I'm not sure what that was behind me.
But people saying, you know, that the defense, the midfield don't help the defense. But I think that's the case for the entire team. I think the attack looks poor because the defense is poor, which means the midfield have to help the defense and they can't help the attack. I think that works for everybody in this system. That's why I have such an issue with Unai, because I don't think any of them are particularly to blame. And that's why, like I say, I'm giving people a USP and an extra point because it's playing under this guy. I honestly, you know, like with Sonny, I was texting him during the game and he said, just these lot of shit, they're not good enough. And I do not buy that. I don't, because as I said to him last night, look at the teams and the personnel in the teams that are beating us convincingly. They're not better than us. They don't have
right.
It just doesn't wash for me. But so what did you give Socrates, mate?
I'd give him a 5 as well. Standard 5. Didn't
see, this is how you can tell you've not been supporting Arsenal as long as me. You're way more kind. He gets a 3 for me. I just thought he was poor. I just struggled tonight. I really did. I really struggled to think of anybody over a 5 tonight. I do, and I know I'm being harsh, but I'm more than happy when we see these guys under a manager to then give them an extra 2 points on ratings and make it up to him. I am, but for the time being, I've just got to go in my gut, mate, and how I'm feeling.
No, for sure. I don't want to be too cruel because I don't think that it was the worst performance this season. But again, I think it's kind of for me in the middle because it wasn't good and it wasn't bad. And we didn't concede until the 94th minute. Not that we played well, but I mean, again, in terms of for defensively, if we didn't concede tonight, I don't think we, in the last minute, I don't think we would be giving them 3s. So on that note, for me, it's between a 4 and a 5. Not great.
That's where we're different because the goal didn't change my ratings at all.
Okay.
Because I thought it was more down to them just not scoring than us being really solid at the back.
So No, I think they had, to be fair, they had quite a lot of chances. Not like we defended them well. I think, again, that's why we gave Martinez a 6, is because he kind of kept us in the game.
Well, it was just
and also, actually, they shoot from everywhere, man. It's kind of like African football, man. You know, shoot and pray. Just shoot from anywhere. As long as you get the opportunity to shoot, just shoot. They had a lot of shots from far.
Yeah. To be honest, though, they weren't that terrible, were they? You know, they were tending to sort of hit the target with the main of them. But yeah, that's why I was making this point last night about I would rather trust what my eyes see on rating people than going off stats. Because if you just look at their shot stats tonight, you lose the plot. But when you, like you say, when you actually go back and see a video of where they were shooting from, they weren't all from inside the box. They were hitting hopes, a lot of them. But it's still, for me, that's still an issue with pressing. We still shouldn't be allowing teams like this to have that many shots. And, you know, I was saying that going back to Premier League stuff, we're the easiest team to get in the box off, along with Norwich. And then the stats came out yesterday that we are, apart from Aston Villa, in there as well. We're the 3rd worst in the league.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah, we're 5th.
Just not good enough at all. So maybe the one highlight of the defence, mate, Turner. What did you make of him tonight?
Again, definitely, I think between him and Martinelli, which we'll get on after, definitely my 2 man of the matches. You know, when we have Kolasinac, I just have no hope. I know that, you know, again, they're going to target that side. But I think attacking-wise, he didn't have much to go on. But I think he tried a lot. I think defensively, he was solid again. I think what I noticed about him is that he's very composed. You know, he has a couple of tricks on him as well, which he pulled out today. I mean, he dribbled quite a few players today, which I was impressed with. And I think in terms of speed, I think he showed that he does have that speed. Maybe not as much over 100 meters as Kolasinac, but I think in terms of overall game, much better than Kolasinac. For me, it's definitely a 7, tied for man of the match.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat, mate. Just the first thing I wrote was one of the only ones doing his job.
Yeah.
And I think that the way we're going to maybe criticise him a little bit unfairly here is that he was ready to be blasting up and down that sideline. But, you know, you saw it in the first half where Ceballos had the ball and he busted a gut down that left-hand side. And Ceballos did a turn and he's just looking at him going, what are you fucking doing? What are you doing? You know, I'm not busting a gut doing 80-yard runs for you to just make me do it for nothing, mate. You know, and that's why I struggle with him. Why I found it hard to sort of knock him at all, because I think if we'd have played better, he'd have got a 10 tonight. I don't think he did it done wrong at all.
Yeah, imagine him and Sanchez. I think also Saka playing with him doesn't really help that much because he's very young. But imagine him and Sanchez would be, wow, that would have been an amazing combo. But yeah,
I mean, I was fortunate enough where I worked on a lot of Celtic games, and I got to see him a lot down the years. And anybody who wants to look back at my feed on Twitter, I've been saying for 3 years he's our ideal left back. And it's sort of always nice when you sign somebody that, you know, we all do it when it gets to the summer and you go, right, I want us to sign. And one of mine was Turner. So when they actually turn up, you go, oh, right, I'll actually get to see now if I'm any good as a scout. And I've been saying I think he'll be one of the first actual Emirates legends.
For sure, I agree with you.
He's a shoe-in for captain at some point as well. I do.
Yeah, and in terms for his age, he's very young. I think he's pretty physical as well. You know, he gets into tackles. I know. There was one point that I noted down when we were in their half. I think he was closing someone down at the corner line, and he kind of just put his foot through it. I mean, he was strong, so it's a good sign to see. Whereas Maitland-Niles is very flimsy and weak. I think Tierney's strong and he holds his own. I really like him.
Well, that's the difference you see when you're in Scotland and it's about -10 and there's about 6 people watching. You don't get any sympathy if you get knocked on the floor and you're starting waving your arms at the referee. You have to go into those challenges because no one's going to feel sorry for you. And I said this about Turner. He's one player for me that you will never see sort of shut his eyes and turn his back to the ball. He will always be eyeballing the player and eyeballing the ball, and he will be going through that challenge with everything he's got.
And we need 11 of those players on our field, and that's kind of, you know, in your time when you used to watch kind of Arsenal in the late 90s or early 2000s. That's kind of the players that we had. You know, Tony Adams, Vieira, Gilberto Silva. All these guys were kind of no nonsense players. They'll take one in the face for the team.
Yep, definitely, mate. Definitely. So let's get on to the midfield. Ceballos, you know, he came off in the 56th minute, but before that, I'm not sure about that one. He looked like he did his hammy a little bit, or maybe his groin.
He did
pull up a little bit. And that's never good. You know, as much as people might not be loving him at the minute, we still need these players. You guys, you know, a lot of these guys know I can't stand Xhaka, but I don't think we're in a strong enough position where we can afford to just have him sat around and never playing and not utilising him. But Ceballos, for me, I just wrote down in capital letters, slows everything down, very much like Xhaka. And I think he's got a lot more to his game to not be playing like that. I don't know if he felt sort of aware, and I felt the same with Willock, that they were both very aware that if they did play the game, they'd leave the other one totally in the lurch, and if we lost the ball, they'd be in an onslaught sort of where it'd be 1 against 4. So they both played a little bit more cautiously. But I don't know if I'm being a little bit too fair with him there. I just don't know if he isn't. Again, he's another player that system-wise, I'm just not sure it suits him. I said it, he just feels like a poor man's Ramsey to me at the minute. Just sort of don't see where he fits in. I don't. And it's not that I don't think he's a good player, because I've seen him play incredibly well, and that's what gives me hope that, you know, we can get that out of him. But I just don't see it under this manager, the way he's playing him. What did you make of him, mate?
So wanted to hear your rating first.
Sorry, I give him a 4.
Yeah, I agree with Rico and then GunnerTalk. I think a 4 is fair. I don't think that he slows down the play. I kind of disagree with you on that one. I think Xhaka slows down the play way more than he does. I think he's more flexible. I think he's able to move and turn, even though he's kind of just right-footed. Unfortunately, he's very right-footed. I think he's just being played in the wrong position, and he's always having to come back. You see him basically playing as a CDM, picking up the ball as a CDM and trying to go all the way forward and create something, which is, I think, is not suiting him. But yeah, I mean, I really liked him when he played against Burnley, that home game where he kind of dominated the game for us. But since then, I've kind of been reserved with my opinion. I don't really think we should be spending money on him, to be honest. At the moment, he hasn't proved that he's worth the money. So I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but at the moment I kind of want more from him. I think he dribbles sometimes into trouble. You know, sometimes he holds the ball a bit too much. But yeah, a 4 for me.
Like you say, maybe that'd be a bit different if he wasn't having to do that from the edge of our box and he was doing it more in the middle of the pitch. That's what I mean. It's tricky, a player like him, because at the moment I'm the same. There's no way on earth I'd be spending more than 30 million on him. Because I think we could get people that actually identify a problem and a weakness in the side, whereas that's my issue with him. I don't really see what problem we have that he solves. And, you know, if we're looking at the real future of the club, I'd probably rather give Willock a go instead of him in midfield and spend 30 or 40 million elsewhere on a centre-back or another winger, or, you know, depending on the strikers, you know, maybe another. I don't know, but I'm just struggling to back him or see any value to him. But that doesn't mean I've given up on him. I still think he's a good player in there. Go on, dude. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I resonate 100% with that point. That's exactly how I feel.
So Willock, his midfield partner, he was subbed off in the 78th minute. So what did you make of him, dude?
Sorry, actually, I'm very underwhelmed. I think, you know, in the beginning of the season, I really liked him. I enjoyed seeing him play. I think one thing I really enjoy about Willock is his strides. He's not a fast player, but he seems to be able to stride past people when he's, you know, in free-flowing mood. He just his stride is amazing. To kind of like Ramsey-like, you know, pushing the ball forward, kind of going forward. But I think he gets lost in games, really. I mean, in the last 3, 4, 5 games, he's just been missing, really. I haven't seen him, maybe, you know, and I don't think that he's not getting on the ball enough. Maybe, again, it goes back to tactics, the way that we're playing, kind of the mood in the camp or in the team. But I don't really, what is he bringing right now to the team, really? He's not really doing anything. He's just a player on the field at the moment. So, yeah. I'd give him a 4 as well.
Yeah, it's just very. I just, the first thing I wrote down was just totally isolated.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt for both of the midfielders. I thought that they were just completely overwhelmed by Vitoria, not really given any help. For me, you know, maybe apart from Holding, we didn't really have a ball-playing centre-back on the pitch that sort of could have brought it out a little bit. So these guys were dropping really deep. And then where our strikers were, you're asking them to run 60 yards every time to help create. And that's why I felt we didn't create, because there was no one sort of in the engine room. There was just those two sort of trying to do it all. And, you know, either time either of them sort of looked to stride on, like you say, and run with the ball, there was just no option. And I feel like that's why they just sort of stopped and just lost the pair of them.
And Sai, that's a recurring theme in the last 2 months. It's a recurring theme,
and I think what drops to people moaning about the defense as well is because it's just no field. It's the entire.
I think no, the defense is not good enough, but you're right. I think the midfield as well doesn't help. And going back to Sunny's podcast, I think it's a problem with both, and it's kind of stacking on top of each other, because the midfield before it used to be just the defense. At least our midfield was not good, but it was at least average. Now we're below average in both departments. So it's just like the floodgates are open, and that's why we're conceding so many shots. It's just like as soon as a team gets the ball, they know that everyone go up, just run at them, and take on shots, and that's what's happening.
Yes, it's just not good. Pepe.
For me, it would have to be a 3, unfortunately. Very underwhelming again. And I think it might be a little bit of a biased score, considering that we're expecting a lot from this guy. At the moment, it doesn't look like a 72 million player. I think sometimes his touches are really, really atrocious. For a guy who's supposed to be tactically really, really good. Sorry, not tactically, technically very good with the ball. I think something that we noticed in the beginning, he might have been trying really hard in the beginning. I think he looked way better in the first 2-3 games where he kind of was trying to do too much. I'd rather him do too much than what he's doing at the moment, because at the moment, just no creativity. He's not really taking on any players, making bad passes. Just and again, it might just be resonating with the rest of the team in terms of negativity. But I mean, I don't think that we're playing to his strengths. I think him and Lacazette or Martinelli or Saka, whoever's playing up front, they have no support. It's just them against basically the whole defense. So yeah,
what
3.
What was your rating for him? 3. Yeah.
3, yeah.
I just wrote in capital letters, really fucking poor. And he gets a 3 from me as well. Totally underwhelming. He is someone to me who is a world-class footballer, because I watched a lot of him last year. And people can say Farmers League, all the rest of it. You've still got to do it. There's still lots of very good players in that league that aren't turning those. And they were some pretty extraordinary numbers. And you can say whether he's struggling to settle in, adjust to life, or there's only so much you can excuse somebody before you start to say it's just not quite good enough. And I felt like that tonight. This just isn't enough. And I noticed in the first sort of 20 minutes, he tried to take a couple of players on, and he got dispossessed very easily, and he just sort of hands on hips. I just can't be asked trying anymore. And that's really not what I want to see.
One thing I wanted to mention about the Crystal Palace game, there were a couple of times when it was Pepe versus Zaha, which is really interesting to see. Actually, I loved it when that happened. And Zaha, oh my God, he just overpowered him so easily. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, we really made we made a mistake. At the moment, it feels like we made a mistake. I think Zaha would have been killing it for us, and he definitely, with Aubameyang and his power and I really feel like we missed the boat on that one.
Well, I think that's a big part of the problem, is that players don't pick their value. People need to remember that. Clubs decide that, players don't. For sure. But at the end of the day, we've paid for a world-class player, and we're not getting one at the moment.
Exactly.
And I think it's tough. Like, I've come sort of down hard on him, because in that Liverpool game, I was like, wow, this is what I was expecting. He was just sort of dropping the shoulder, just little shapes of his body, and he was leaving Van Dijk for dust, and it was like, oh, here we go. And I said, this will be the first actually electric to watch player you will have seen at the Emirates, and I feel quite stupid at the moment.
So Sai, I think it's very predictable. I think we always know what he's gonna do, and I think at this level, as Emery says, we watch video analysis of the teams and we set up tactically. So all these teams know what he's gonna do. Really, he's always gonna take it on his left foot. He's always gonna try to drop his shoulder or go around or. So he's becoming very predictable, which I think is easier for people to kind of defend against him. And he did. I think, was it him or was it Willock? There was one. I think he did a nutmeg tonight that I kind of was like, oh wow, that's a great piece of skill. But really, I mean, going forward and providing something to the team, nothing.
Well, this is the thing that is sort of on your point, where it's you can say, well, he's always obviously going to come onto his left foot, but we've seen players in this league, Ryan Giggs, Arjen Robben, we've seen people that have only got one leg, and it's still, even though you know they're going to do it, you still can't stop it. And that's what I thought. But it's been underwhelming for me the last few weeks.
A quick one on that. Those players are much more balanced players than Pepe, in my opinion, as in physical stature, in terms of all-round play. Whereas I think Pepe is just a skiller. You know, you play with him on FIFA, you just, you know, you're abusing his pace and his skills. You know, that's really all that he brings in terms of overall play. I don't know if he's going to struggle to fit in this league. I know he's done it I know he's done it in the French league, and I don't consider it a farmers league, because you're right. You still gotta do it. You still gotta produce the numbers. But I think a lot of times we kind of misconstrue that actually the Premier League is the hardest league in the world, and you do need to be physical. Unfortunately, like especially as a winger, if you're only right-footed and you're not really doing. And again, and this might be just my opinion because of the way the team is playing, so I'm not really seeing other parts of his game. But at the moment, I think he's just very predictable.
No, I think you're spot on, mate. To be honest, I can't really get you down off that. I can't. I'm sat here trying to, play devil's advocate, and I can't. I can't, mate. And everybody who knows me loves, I know, to sort of hear somebody say something and turn it on its head. But I can't. I just can't disagree with you as much as I'd like to. I just can't. And he's someone for me that's really got to have a bit of a look at himself. Because it's just not good enough. Martinelli.
Sorry, just a quick one. We expect Pepe to kind of, these are the games, when you see like the Sanchez's and the Ozils and the Nasris and the Fabregas and the Adebayors, these are the games where you're supposed to show up, because you're supposed to be the best, one of the better players on the pitch. You're playing in the Europa League. It's not that, at the same level. This is your time to shine and take advantage, because you're supposed to be a better player. You're supposed to be dribbling these guys inside out, making them look like schoolboys. And that's not happening.
No, and I totally agree. No, I totally agree with that point. It's like you say, if you're going to say anything about the French League and the Premier League, well, tonight's a lot closer to the French League than the Premier League is. And he's not really, although you can blame the system, and give him some leeway for that, he should still be able to beat a man in this game tonight. He should still be able to have his man's number, and he didn't at any point.
At least a couple of shots on target, like at least. No, you don't have to score.
But there wasn't, you can't say there was no occasion in that game where he got given the ball on the right-hand side of their box where he could have just dropped a shoulder and, like you say, just winged in a left footer. And it didn't happen. And that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I do want to point out that it seems to me that his set pieces are pretty good. I mean, again, an assist from the free kick, it was pretty good. But again, still not enough. We still want more. Well,
that's one thing that I did write down about him is I wrote, finally, we've got a set piece taker.
Yeah, he looks like he is. He's a good set piece taker.
That's not enough for 72 million.
No, yeah.
But let's go on to Martinelli.
So for me, Martinelli definitely a 7, tied with Tierney for man of the match. He may not have been as active tonight, but I think regardless of if he gets the ball or not, I think, again, he leads by example. I mean, his pressing is incredible. This guy has stamina and energy to burn. I mean, I know he's young, but I mean, you don't see a lot of young players. I mean, Rashford and some of these other kids, you don't see them closing down. And, as a striker, you see him in our half, closing down players in our half. I think in terms of Lacazette, he presses better than Lacazette, in my opinion. And I think, I have a lot of hope for him. I think he definitely needs to be starting over Saka, in my opinion, whether it's on the left. And sometimes even he should be starting over Pepe, because, he's scored already. He's outscored. I think he's the leading teenage goal scorer in the world, in world football at the moment, which is quite a bit. I think he's, in terms of being a balanced player, he has everything. He's speedy. He can use his left foot, his right foot. He's really good in the air, which I was really impressed with. I didn't think he would be, but he actually is.
He's very deceptive in the air. Very deceptive.
Yeah, and as GunnerTalk says, he's like an energetic bunny. He really is, and we love to see that. And I think that's a kind of a trend that we've seen with South American players, whether it's Suarez or Sanchez or now Martinelli. And even actually, I do want to mention, Torreira was kind of like this at the beginning of last season. He had this ball of energy where he was always running, putting in tackles. And we, as fans, we love to see it, right? We love to see players that are willing to die for our team, because we would die for our team.
Well, that's it. I think the minimum any fan expects is you to put 100% in. I think that's the minimum requisite for being a footballer. If you can't be bothered to do that, you're in the wrong game for me. I mean, I gave him a 5, but I did write down in brackets that's Unai's fault.
Yeah,
because I've given him a 5. Yeah, he didn't see the ball. He had no service, and it's the same. I think if we'd have been playing in a decent system, he'd have looked really good tonight because it wasn't for a lack of trying. He was just on his own, and that's where you've got what you've just said. You've got to commend him as a young lad to carry on doing it when it's not going your way. Because we know a lot more experienced strikers that would sulk, hands on their hips. It's just not happening tonight. I've had enough. And he continues to try and make, it's like somebody said to me years ago, about creating your own luck. And it's surprising that the harder I work, the luckier I get. And that's this kid in a nutshell. The only sad thing for me is, I'll just add, is that when you're doing what he's doing, which is pressing, if nobody else joins in, you're just wasting your energy.
Very good point.
And that's really sad.
But I still rather see him do that. I still rather see, because I think he's more concerned about what the manager thinks. I think it looks like he's really trying to cement a team in the first place. He's saying, "Look, Emery, look at this is the way I play, and I should be in contention to start because even if the rest of the team is not playing well or he's not getting the service, he's still showcasing to the fans at least, and the thing obviously is for the manager that he has a lot to offer to the team." And I didn't want to mention that there was one skill move that he did in the box. Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. I really enjoyed to see that. And not only that, but he crossed it with his left foot right after that move, which was a really good cross. And he's not left-footed. So again, just showing his all-round quality. And back to the attitude thing, I refer that attitude to the Mesut Ozil attitude, kind of putting your hands on the hip. Oh, I lost the ball. Oh, it wasn't my fault. Oh, and that's kind of why people get onto Mesut Ozil. So it's good to see kind of Martinelli showcasing the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit, which is I wouldn't be putting him in the first team. And only because I said this about Guendouzi last year, right at the start of last season, which is I don't like the idea of putting young lads under pressure to sink or swim, because I can guarantee you that at some point they'll sink because they just don't have broad enough shoulders yet. And that's my concern with him, is I think we should be taking our time with him because we've clearly got a very talented player on our hands. And he is someone for me we should nurture. And I think the sort of situation at the moment we're in, I don't think it'd do him any favours putting, it's very different. If you're coming on for 20 minutes, it's just go play your game, enjoy yourself. When you're on from the start, like I said the other day, you're expected to put numbers on the board. And although he is actually doing that, I just don't like putting that sort of heaping that sort of pressure on him. And then, if then we have a few games where he plays and he doesn't really do well, then all of a sudden he's shit. And that's what worries me with it, and why I'd still be just enjoying what we're getting at the moment, and just not be greedy. Let's not want more. Let's just enjoy that we're actually getting this from a young player at the minute, because it's absolutely magic. It's one of the only highlights of watching us at the moment.
Yeah. So, Sai, just a quick one on that. Actually, I kind of disagree on that. I think he looks like the player that if he's thrown into the deep end, he's going to make sure he's going to try his hardest to be able to swim and stay afloat. He seems to me to be that type of player. And I think he would relish in that opportunity, because it seems like it already with the goals that he scored, the moves that he makes, it seems that he'd be able to kind of to stay afloat. And in regards to, maybe you're right, I don't think he should start, but I think if Lacazette or Aubameyang or Pepe aren't performing, I think he should be starting over Saka.
First reserve. He should be first reserve, definitely.
So at the moment, Saka seems to be getting more playing time, but I think in terms of in terms of balance of play, I think Martinelli is definitely producing way more, and I think he's more exciting to Saka, in my opinion. Not that Saka isn't talented or anything, but at the moment, if we look at it on a level-headed kind of play, he definitely is showcasing that he's bringing much more to the team, which is great to see.
Well, let's get on to Saka. I mean, he got subbed in the 65th minute. I'll crack us off. He gets a free from me. And I don't want to be mean, because he is a very young kid, and he is one for me that we've chucked him in the deep end and he's drowning. We've not given him any armbands at all. And I said the other week he needs to go back into the youth team and just get back to enjoying his football, because he came on, he looked decent, and we went, right, we'll start him, and he's just drowned since then. He looked. I wrote down, looks like a lost little kid, totally out of his depth.
And I resonate that opinion 100%. Again, very hard to disagree with you. I'd give him a 3 as well. I think I mentioned this on Sunny's podcast day before yesterday, that he's getting bullied. He's getting really bullied, and I think players realize that they can bully him. But yeah, it's not taking away that he's very talented. I think that he has.
No, I was
No,
just
go
going to say,
ahead.
I think he's a massive confidence player, because when he first
Yeah.
came in, although he's lightweight, the way he used his body in challenges for me was really impressive. The way he just he would just shift himself and he was leaving players for dead. And now his confidence has dried up totally. He's, like you say, he just looks like he's made out of pipe cleaners. He's just getting owned all the time. And you know, defenders are clever for that. They see weakness in people. And when you look at this kid, you're not going, oh, God, I'm not looking forward to this. You're going, if I just get into his ribs a little bit for 10 minutes, he'll fold, he'll give up. And I think that's what's happening to him.
Sai, one thing I wanted to mention is, a winning team or a good team is not a team that is based on confidence. I'm sorry. I think if you have a good team, I know. I'm just, I mean, if you look at Liverpool, Man City, I think a sign of a good team and a sign of a good player, it doesn't matter whether the team is playing with confidence or not. That player is still going to be playing, at least his base is at a good level. And that's why Van Dijk is such an amazing player, because it doesn't really matter. You just know what you're going to get from him at all times, regardless of whether he's confident or not. He's just such a solid player. And that's why I respect Tierney, is because he shows those types of characteristics, that he's a solid player, regardless of his confidence, regardless if he gets beat. He's still going to show up, and that's not going to deter him. And those are the type of players that we want.
Yeah, well, I said it the other night. It goes back to the old phrase of, can he do it on a cold, wet, windy Tuesday in Stoke? Yeah. And for me, Martinelli is someone that can do that. Tierney's someone that can do that. Guendouzi's someone that can do that. These are guys that will keep putting it in, no matter whether the chips are down or not. But like you say with Saka, that's where I meant with the confidence thing. It's why I'd separate him and say Martinelli is well ahead of him at the minute. Not that I don't have faith that Saka might come good, but exactly. Like Willock at the start of last season, I said the same thing, where I said he looks like he's made out of pipe cleaners. He looks like a kid. When he just sort of went back into the under-21s, he didn't go out on loan. And then the start of this season, he looked like his mum had been, dipping his socks in Miracle Grow at night. He turned up and it was like, now he looks like a man. And no surprise that his performances suddenly had gone up a notch. And I get the feeling that's what this season might be a bit early for Saka.
Yeah, and just something that Tony mentioned in the comments, that Saka needs to be in the gym, and that's one thing I resonate with as well. I think him and Pepe need to be in the gym, and I think again, with all this sports science and all this, the money that's spent on facilities and stuff, these the coaches must be putting these guys into the gym and having pretty detailed kind of regimes that these guys have to be lifting certain amounts of times a week and stuff to kind of be prepared, especially if they're in the starting 11. It's not like they're on the reserves or they're second string players. These guys are our first team players that we're relying on, and they're getting pushed off the ball really easily. So they definitely need to be working in the gym. That's something I think that they should be. Personally, if I was playing for Arsenal and obviously because of my stature, I think I'd be facing kind of the similar problems that Saka is. I personally would take it upon myself to be going to the gym on the weekends or taking extra time to be kind of lifting. And at this level, you'd be expecting them to do that.
Well, it's interesting because we saw that at the start of the season, didn't we? We got those insights to training, and we saw like Monreal look like an absolute monster with that, where you could see his quad muscles. He looked ridiculous. Yeah. Everyone looked bulked up to death. So maybe that's what we'll get from these guys. Maybe we'll see totally different players after an off season. They're not players I'm writing off. I've seen people writing him off.
Agreed.
And I think we've got to be a bit fairer than that, to be honest.
This is constructive criticism. It's
It's not.
That's it. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with you. Let's get on to the subs. I've not rated any of them. Guys who watch me regularly know, if somebody sort of gets half an hour, I don't really tend to rate them. So I'm happy to just sort of let you have the floor on the Guendouzi, Laka, and Torreira, mate, and I'll just sort of chip in if I feel the need to.
All right. So in terms of, I will start off with Lacazette. Again, was he really on the pitch? Did he come on? Are you sure he came on?
Yeah, he came on in the 65th minute.
I was being sarcastic, as in he didn't do he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. I really I really like him, but he didn't provide anything. I mean, he didn't really get the ball. Yeah, I mean, I'm really disappointed. And it's not that I don't like. It's not like, again, it's just disappointed because of how much love we have for these players and how much we really want them to do well for us, so we can say, oh my God, Lacazette was the game changer. He's going to do this against Leicester and give us hope for kind of going into the game saying, oh yeah, Lacazette played really well on Wednesday night, so we expect him again to play well. But for me, he was invisible when he came on.
Well, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? That's why, if some stranger calls you a dickhead, but your mum calls you a dickhead, one upsets you and one doesn't bother you. And it's because you care about your mum's opinion and not a stranger's.
Definitely.
And I think that's exactly the point you're making, is that I'm someone who's a massive fan of Laka.
Me too.
And I think we're totally wasting him. And I think it's really upsetting. And that's why I struggled to rate him, because I thought I'm just going to rate him the same as Martinelli, because he's not going to see the ball. So it's just unfair for me to score him low. And that's why I didn't rate him.
I wouldn't give him a rating. No, I was just gonna say I don't think it's fair to give him a rating as well. I think he had about 25 minutes, and I don't want to rate him because it'd be a bad rating. So I'd rather say, you know what, he didn't have enough time, and he didn't have enough time to make an impact. So we just
that's why I don't do the ratings like that, because everyone else I'm rating out of 10 based on 90 minutes.
It's fair to give him a 5, a standard 5. Just standard.
Well, let's just rock with a 5 for the free substitutes, and you just give us a bit of info. Yeah. Guendouzi for me, I felt there was a bit of difference, a bit more urgency when he came on in the middle of the park, more likely to pick the ball up at the edge of the box and drive forward. But again, sort of when you look at then the options of an outlet, there just wasn't one. So it just felt like wasted energy again for me. I don't know what you made of him when he came on.
For me, it's kind of similar. I think he's very similar towards to the players that were kind of on the pitch beforehand. I think him and Willock are very similar in terms of they always want to drive. I think as well in terms of always wanting the ball. Guendouzi always seems to be attracted towards the ball. I think he had a really poor game on the weekend against Wolves.
That was his worst performance for me
for this season. I think he had a couple of worse games last season. I think that are brushed under the carpet, because overall he had a phenomenal season.
I'm getting old, mate. My memory's not what it used to be.
No, but overall he's a solid player. I think we're expecting, again, because we don't have anybody else, we're expecting a lot from him. And I think he's carried us through a lot of games this season. So again, standard 5, didn't really do anything wrong, but at the same time, wasn't a kind of a spark to go and push forward and score another goal. But I think, again, that goes to creativity. We have nothing really. I mean, he can push us forward, but then as soon as he pushes us forward, and this is the same issue I wanted to mention about Ceballos, they bring the ball forward, yet the ball still ends up coming backwards.
Yeah, I think this is a thing that, like, I've noticed some of the guys are sort of reaching on it in the comments. This is I think why a lot of people want to see Torreira at CDM, is that he's the one that just brings it out a little bit. And then these guys, once they get the ball, there's no pressure on them then to worry about losing it. They can play the game. Whereas the way they're having to pick it up at the moment, I think they're playing with the handbrake on a little bit, because they're terrified of losing the ball in a dangerous position. And that's why I'm the same as those people that want to see Torreira at CDM for that reason.
It's also the confidence that they have in the defense. I think they know as well that if I lose the ball here, is a goal coming. And again, it's a recurring theme of just people being able to just run through our whole midfield. And then not only that do they get through our midfield, is that our defenders keep backing off. And it's like, I think now Torreira, Guendouzi, you see Guendouzi and Ceballos, they're always, instead of the wingers like Pepe or Aubameyang coming back and track it back, you see a lot of the times that you see Ceballos and Guendouzi kind of, filling up those positions. So you're expecting them to kind of get there, then protect the midfield, and also be creative. It's just too much. It's too much for them.
I mean, I think I wrote something down when I saw the lineup, and I think we missed the trick in not playing Luiz as a sort of CDM that could have stepped out the back 5 into the CDM position, which then would have allowed Willock and Ceballos a bit more freedom and less restraint. And that's what I thought odd with him sort of holding Mustafi and Socrates.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that. That's actually a very solid point. And this is the type of games where we have the luxury to do that, because we're playing an inferior team.
Me and Tony and the Fred. Tony's somebody who I chat to a lot on Twitter. And we were saying, when Luiz turned up, or whether you think he's still very good or not, or whatever you rate him as a player, he looked like the way of having a Xhaka without having a Xhaka on the pitch, which is that he could take his role by just stepping out of a back 5. And I think it's quite sad that we haven't sort of seen it. As much as I don't rate Luiz on his current performances, I think we're missing a bit of a trick there. And like you say, I think tonight would have been a free swing of the bat for him to see if that had worked. And, you know, we weren't going to gain anything from watching Mustafi and Socrates play, because you know what you're going to get from those guys. You know, they've been doing the same thing for years. Let's try and wrap this up. Torreira, just the last one. I just didn't really even notice him do anything. But that was mainly because I think I'd really just give up the ghost by the 80th minute. I was just, you know, I'm sort of watching, but I'm vacant behind my eyes. I've just switched off. I don't know if you noticed him sort of do anything, or I don't know. I just find him really impossible to rate. And, you know, he was only on for 12 minutes. So
no, I wouldn't be able to rate him as well. But I think something's happened. He doesn't seem like the same player that he was last season. I don't know if that's because he hasn't, you know, he's kind of been taken out of the team, you know, in the beginning of the season. And now because of the situation with Xhaka, he's kind of being integrated back into the team forcefully for Emery, right? Which is weird to see. But he just doesn't look like himself. I don't know what it is, right? I mean, he doesn't close down the ball enough. He seems like people are running past him very easily and very frequently. And again, going back to, you know, previous games, he's playing as striker sometimes. He's playing as left wing, right wing. I think that's also not helping him. And I think his confidence is at an all-time low, it seems to be.
No, because that's what I sort of thought about the other day. And it sort of brought me back to those comments about he was a bit homesick. And I thought if he was sort of weighing up his future, and now he's sort of not a mainstay in the starting lineup, you know, and he's sort of sitting on the bench a lot. Maybe his head's just not quite in the game anymore. Maybe he is just thinking about going home and, you know, sat in the pissing down rain and thinking I could be in the sun in a nicer climate back home here, you know, or in another European country. What am I doing here? You know, I've not come to sit on the bench. Somebody said to me that he made comments about he doesn't want to play at CDM. And if that's actually the case, then I think we should sell him, because I don't think he's any use to us as anything other than a CDM.
That's weird, considering that he plays there for his national team, and considering that that's the reason why we bought him, and that's where he played all last season.
The guy that mentioned it to me said that because they've got Bentancur in the Uruguay side, it doesn't make him feel as vulnerable as just the out-and-out CDM. It's sort of the two of them share the role. So he gets you know, if he doesn't want to sit as CDM, Bentancur sits in there and he sort of gets to move forward. Whereas, you know, I've been saying it for a long time, in our lineup, he's the only midfielder that we've got that can tackle. And, you know, going back to chatting with Tony, you know, we've said numerous times that if you're not going to play him, there has to be someone who can tackle in the midfield. And if it's not going to be him, it has to be Chambers or it has to be Luiz. No one else is capable. The more we keep putting Guendouzi, Ceballos, Willock playing deep, or Xhaka, it's never going to work for me. Never. And fire away, I'm sorry.
No stress. I just wanted to address a point that Tony made. You know, Sanchez played like four or three seasons straight off the bat. You know, he played in the South American Cup. What is it called again? Copa America. Yeah, Copa America. He played, you know, constant Premier League games, constant Champions League games. He never had a break, yet his performances never dropped. So, you know, Tony made a point saying that, you know, he had a long World Cup and he hasn't been training and things like that. I think at this level, you know, Torreira's my age. He's 22 or 23. You know, he should be having energy to burn. So I see where you're coming from. But at the same time, if you just take the example I've given you about Sanchez, who was much, much older, it's, you know, something is not gelling. It's something that doesn't make sense. Something has to be going on.
I'll just say one thing on that point is that if that's what we're talking about, well, he's not going to get another one again in this off season. The only way I wouldn't compare him to Sanchez is that Sanchez hasn't got a life outside of football. It's him and his dogs. So I don't think any off time made any difference to him. Where someone like Torreira, I think he'd actually like some time to spend with his family and sort of get your head away from the football. This is a really pathetic excuse I'm giving him, but
yeah,
I think that it's a lot more about the mental side rather than purely just the fitness thing. Is you just need a mental break from it. You know, it's like why we don't work 7 days a week every, 52 weeks a year, because you've got to have that little bit of a break. But, you know, he is somebody I like, and that's why I'm giving him a little bit of sympathy. But it's still not a good enough excuse for me, because, like you said, at 22, you know, I was finding the energy to chase women every night of the week, and it never stopped me. So, if you've not got energy at 22 to burn, you're never going to have it, and that's worrying for me. But
so the thing for me is that he's exemplified already that he does have that quality. He does have that energy. He used to close down people insanely. I remember against I think it was Manchester United last season where he had a really good game. He had a lot of good games last season where even against Liverpool, actually it was actually against Liverpool where he had a phenomenal game. And in terms of Sanchez, I think perhaps we just don't know as much, but I think all players have social lives outside of football. And being 23 and being part of like the millennial generation, I think you're more equipped to deal with different things and not having that much downtime.
Like you say, busy schedules, better sports science these days. That's actually a thing now. Dietitians, all the rest of it. There's all the tools there at your disposal to be able to play regularly for 40 weeks of a year, definitely. That was the subs leading us up to sort of the 78th minute, and we got the goal in the 80th minute, and I instantly just wrote down I didn't even want that, and that really upsets me that I even remotely think like that, because I just instantly thought, well, this keeps him in a job for a bit longer. Not so sure that this is the difference maker, but it definitely makes it easier for the board to me to overlook the fact that we had one shot on goal in 90 minutes against a pretty poor Portuguese side.
I think, Sai, that according to Joe, going off that point, it's actually, I think this is worse for him because it's another lead that we've blown away in the last
that is a really interesting point. Is that
so it's actually worse than if we didn't score.
We had a lead for 12 minutes and we still couldn't hold it.
Yeah, no.
The 91st minute, they got an equaliser, and I wrote in capital letters, fully deserved.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they should have been leading in the first half, at least 1-0, at least 1-0.
And is that not an incredibly sad thing that they'll be the ones coming away tonight going, we've missed a trick here?
But that's how it's been for a couple of weeks. Even when we were third, we knew that we got lucky with a couple of results. We've been getting away with it for a long time, and there are a lot of people, especially Sonny, coming on AFTV saying, before all this kind of collapse, that it's gonna come to a point where we're not gonna get lucky, we're gonna get founded out, and we're not gonna get results our way, and that's what's happening. And now everyone's waking up saying, whoa, you know what, actually, yeah, now we're not getting results. It's actually you complain instead of saying, okay, we got lucky, we won 2-1, at least we got the 3 points, or at least we got the win. So we won't say enough. Maybe next game, we always have this false hope. Oh, maybe next game will show up. Because the thing with Arsenal is you just never know what Arsenal is going to show up, and that's been something that even under Wenger used to happen. We just didn't know which team was going to show up, and that's kind of also with Emery. We don't know what team is going to show up. Sometimes I remember last season we knew that the second half was our half. We were going to dominate teams. We were going to score. That was kind of something that was happening last season. And this season, it's neither the first half nor the second half that we're showing up.
And I think that's the thing is when you say, Arsenal fans over the last decade have become eternal optimists because you've got to keep coming and supporting the club because there's not really been anything else to make you want to come apart from your passion for the club. I've just lost my train of thought.
Just a quick one. Tony says Sanchez grew up in the streets of.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say.
Terrell likes the mentality. Look at him crying over Xhaka getting booze. That's really funny. That's a funny comment.
This again comes back to me saying about him maybe not actually enjoying life very much at the minute. Maybe he is just feeling a little bit fragile, and that was just sort of tipped, another little factor to just go, I don't really want to be here. That's what I thought when I saw him crying. I thought, I'm not having him crying that just Xhaka's getting booed. I'm not having that for 1 minute. Like say, this kid's from South America. They don't piss about over there. If you play volley, you get told about it.
So one question I had for you, I don't understand why he was crying, because in my opinion, that's positive for him because it meant that he would be starting. This guy is competition to him, and he just got booed off the pitch. He just did a terrible mistake that is unexcusable. If I were Torreira, I'd be sitting in the bench smirking behind my coach.
You go. Right, I'll start warming up. Here's my turn.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, when I saw that, I was really disappointed to see that was crying. It's terrible mentality.
Just to go back to what you were saying there as well about the results, and that's where I was going with it, saying about people and Arsenal fans especially having to be sort of eternal optimists. And if you ask anybody to be realistic about the weekend, everyone's just like, we're going to get thrashed. But then when you actually think about it, you go, this is Arsenal. This will be where we actually play well.
You know, that's
we wallop Leicester, and you'll go, what?
Wait. That's our heart speaking. So see, that's the problem. That's our heart speaking and our mind. It's like, you know, when you have a girlfriend and stuff, it's always like, oh, does she love me? Does she not love me? Does she love me? Does she not love me? It's kind of like catch-22. We love Arsenal, so we always like, oh no, they can't do that to us. We're gonna show up. We're gonna show up. But, you know, and
that's the thing, though.
we get let down.
I think if we play better against Leicester and we actually play well against them, it'll frustrate me even more than if we just play shitly and get beat. Just I don't know. But
I can't see it happening.
We've prattled on for a long time, mate. I told you these take a lot longer than you realise.
Yeah.
You know,
well, when you're as passionate as we are, the both of us are about Arsenal, then you can talk about Arsenal forever.
Well, somebody said to me, you know, you need to cut the length of these videos down, but I'll be happy when I can get to 30-second videos where I can just go, yes, we were brilliant again. See you later next week. You know,
no,
I can't wait for us to get to that point. You know,
that's never going to happen. That's
these videos are getting longer and longer because there's just so much to talk about, and we've not really even, you know, got onto things that are going off pitch and around the club. And that's why I said to you, you know, maybe I get you on again and we'll have another chat about that sort of
definitely.
stuff. I'm just going to wrap it up and say, just thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate that. And
not a problem.
I wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing. And you guys in the comments, please go and follow him. You can see his handle there on these image. And please give him a retweet to his stuff. He's going to get his own channel going. Something I'm really looking forward to. Talks a ton of sense and well reasoned. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys again. You know, I said the other day I've hit excuse me, hit 75 subs. I've just crept over 80 today. So I'm really looking to hit that century before Christmas. That'd be really nice. So I just want to, I know some of you guys have been with me from day one, you know, and it was probably just me talking to one of you and you were the only person viewing, but that means a ton to me that you've stuck by me. So thank you for that, guys. And that's it. We're going to talk.
From my end, just to finish it off, it's been a privilege to be the first guest on your show, and I'm sure there's going to be many more. I think in terms of people who watch live and your subscribers, I think they already understand your value, which is definitely that you're not doing this for fame. You're doing this out of passion and love for the club. And that's something that I think not a lot of YouTubers can say. And I don't want to call out names, but I think if you're an Arsenal fan and you're into this YouTube space, I think we all know who the Arsenal streamers are, who consistently stream and kind of made a living out of it. And it's sad to see sometimes that people kind of get carried away with it and take it to another level. But for us, level grounded people, I think it's just about the passion that we have for Arsenal, and I think it's great to see. So congratulations, Simon.
Cheers, mate. I'll just say one last thing that I was going to open with today, but I got a bit carried away with your boxing style entrance. I saw an interesting quote the day before yesterday from John Cena.
Okay.
The wrestler.
I know. John Cena.
Well, I didn't realise John Cena was an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Well, he's never mentioned that, but I saw a quote he put up. And when I read it, I thought, he must be an Arsenal fan. So I'll leave on this quote. When we find ourselves going through hell, keep moving. If we stay put, we'll never get out. Guy must be an Arsenal fan because that's how it feels. It just summed up my life at the moment. But thank you to all you guys that are tuned in. Irfan, it's been an absolute pleasure, my mate. Until the next one, guys, take care. Enjoy your evening.
Cheers.